Welcome to Make Your Own Fun. I am here with singer and songwriter Emily Davis of her backing band, the Murder Police, whose newest album is Never a Moment Alone. And I just got to say, I was just rocking out to Pillar of Salt a few minutes ago.
Yeah, cool. Glad you found that one.
I guess I have to ask, me being in California, if the song Echo Park was written about the city in California?
No, I I mean I've been there a lot. It's not that interesting, unfortunately. I wrote the song about having experienced a manic episode.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I was having a hard time getting out of my own head, and so it really felt like an echo chamber. But I didn't think it was as interesting to sing about an echo chamber, so I wanted to call it Echo Park instead. So
Fair enough, fair enough. Had to
kind
ask.
of,
So.
yeah.
I did just see on the band's page there that you guys just recently wrapped up a tour of Canada.
Yeah, we
How
went
was
to
that?
it was amazing. We were able to travel throughout Quebec and Ontario, and it was really cool. We had been to Toronto a couple of times, and that was a lot of fun, but we were finally able to see other parts of the country. Love to be able to go to some of the other provinces, but it was really cool to be able to see a lot of the two that we were in. So I
Nice.
enjoyed it.
If these lights get to be too distracting, let me know. I can take them off. I probably
No
will
worries.
before they burn my neck. So I guess when you're there, you've been to you've been there before, but do you notice when you're going to a place like the second, third time, maybe a growing of the fan base for you guys? Do you notice like when you go back, maybe there's more people playing bigger venues? Have you noticed that as well going to Canada?
Yeah, it's cool because there's always somebody new to meet, and I always appreciate the opportunity to meet people and to form friendships. So, at the very least, it's always an opportunity to meet new people, whether or not more come. I always leave knowing somebody that I didn't, and that's always important to me. So,
Nice. So this was the second album with the Murder Police. Could you maybe speak a little bit about the formation of the band in terms of how or why maybe you wanted to kind of, build up from just being a singer-songwriter just with your guitar yourself and kind of maybe what you were looking for or, kind of creating a new sound for yourself?
sure. Well, I had been in a band previous to that. We didn't record any albums together, but I had tampered with being in a band um, in the early 2010s, and it was a good experience. But when it ended, I was really sad, and it turned me off to the idea of being in a band again. I made 3 albums by myself, and I felt fairly independent, and I didn't feel the need. But I was encouraged after I made my third album by myself. Friend encouraged me that I really should consider trying to play the songs live with a band because we'd gone out of our way to find additional instrumentation that can't do on my own. And so the way he envisioned it was a backing band, but it's not a backing band. It's they're every bit as important and bring as every bit as much passion and creative input as I do. So and I never liked the idea of just having a backing band. If I was going to form a band, it had to be something more than that for me. And so um, late 2015, I met my guitarist slash now husband, George, and decided to start forming a band with him. And there was 2 other individuals that were in the initial iteration, and we met Jose along the way, and he became our bassist. And we've gone through a couple drummers, but the 3 of us have really formed a core component, and um, we've been working on stuff now for 5 years, 6 years, so it's been good.
Nice. I guess I have to ask, was there any initial pushback from your early fans about changing your sound or, updating the sound of going like, no, this is the Emily we love, and now we don't know what this is. I did that happen
People
at
are
all?
No, people have been very welcoming. I think the added benefit is that having a support system of people who are coming from a punk rock background.
Right.
I get progressively heavier, and I don't think anyone's going to be mad about that.
No.
Typically people seem to be pretty receptive, so it kind of amplified what I was already trying to do, and it just put some ignition in it that needed it. So they've been very receptive.
Very cool, very cool. Would you say that for the most recent album that you kind of went in with a goal of saying maybe make things sound different, or was there any kind of I guess kind of sonically maybe thinking to make it sound kind of different than the previous albums, or was it just like a natural progression, do you think? Just not a lot of thought put into it in terms of the production side of it, or was there a lot of thought put into the production side of it?
That's a good question. Sometimes I feel like I should be more thoughtful of these things, but I honestly just kind of write and just kind of let things unfold. Um, I admire people who kind of have this vision and then are able to articulate it to other people and then execute it correctly. And I kind of, when I'm writing a song, it's just, I'm in a moment working out a riff, or I'm working out a lyric, and it just kind of evolves, and I kind of follow after where it's leading. And so with this album, the objective was to continue to make things that were reminiscent of our sound, and to make good songs. But as far as, I'm going to write heavier songs, or I'm going to write, I'm going to try writing this, that, or together. It was more just like, this is what we came up with. I liked the idea of continuity. And so because we've only had 2 albums, I didn't want there to be a huge jump. And so we worked with the same producer and recorded out of the same studio because we thought it worked well the first time. So that was definitely something that we kind of envisioned and executed on a larger scale, but everything else was a little bit more just kind of rolling with it.
Has it ever been offered to you or the band to record outside, like completely outside of El Paso? Or, like I know there's always things going on in Miami, New York, LA, Chicago, but has that ever been something where you guys want to try that or pursue that? Or it's just like, hey, El Paso is where we know we can connect with everybody we need?
So my third album, I recorded my solo album. It's called The Worst Kind of Curse. I recorded that in LA. A lot of that was orchestrated by a friend mentor of mine, Mike. He kind of put me in connection with a producer named Rick Parker. And so I recorded with him in LA, and that was fun. Music, unless you are doing exceedingly well, is not a money-making endeavor. In fact, it is incredibly financially draining. And so I would love to be able to record in a world-class studio somewhere that's not here. That'd be an amazing experience, and I very much hope one day I'm able to have it, but it's just for us not feasible.
No, no, I totally get that. Yeah.
We've done we have a hard time putting things together to record as it is. We have full-time jobs and stuff, and so we the last 2 albums we made, we did a Kickstarter for each, and we're very grateful that people contributed and helped us record the albums. But I mean, making music is expensive, and we're not quite at the point yet where we could be able to do that. Hopefully someday.
Yeah, making everything is expensive these days. Yeah, I think I saw something also on the page that you guys are getting ready to, or maybe it's just you getting ready to put out an EP, or you're just doing some recording. How's that been going?
Yeah, it's just me. It's been going good. So, we as a band have a few songs, but there's a few songs I have that are kind of outliers. They're more personal in nature. Sometimes it's nice a lot of the songs that I've written, even for the band, are personal to some extent. But you also, when you're in a group setting, I don't want to be so specific to myself that it alienates other people in the band. Because I mean, ultimately, if you're playing a song, you're kind of co-signing on it, right? But if it's all about me and my own bullshit, then after a while it's kind of tiresome to co-sign on all of that. So I also, just to be able to play around and be able to do other things, play bass on a few of the songs or play electric guitar on a few of the songs, whereas with my band I don't normally do those things. It's been I've needed something to put like my creative energy into that was different, and I need to shake things up, and this is kind of what's in the result of that. It's been much needed, and I've been enjoying it. So
Very cool. I've asked this of quite a few people that are not just musicians but writers as well. I'm a writer as well, and I always say when you're having it could just be a meal, or you're just out with friends at a bar or a coffee house, and you get that little what I call a lightning zygote kind of lands in your brain of an idea. And let's just say for whatever reason you don't want to be rude and you have your phone there and everything. Are you the kind of person that just kind of says like, I just, and then you go and grab a napkin, or your
Yeah.
friend looks at you and they're like, "Are you having a seizure? Are you okay?" And it's just,
Yeah.
or do you just, you got it in there, you're good, you don't have to worry about it.
Oh no, I'll forget it immediately. I have terrible ADD, diagnosed terrible. And so impossible for me to do something and listen to someone at the same time. I'm constantly in and out of consciousness. And so it's like um I have a lot of like texts that I've sent to myself of
Smart.
ideas and things, and somebody will say something and I'm like, "Oh, are you going to use that?" No, okay. And then I'll text it to myself real quick, because if I don't, it'll be gone forever, and I'm going to be bummed about it and thinking about it. Even if I never ended up using it, I still want to be able to end the moment, like satisfy the paranoia of losing it by making note of it. So
I've got to get that thing on. I don't know if it's, I think it's a phone feature. Like when you're driving, I don't know, what is it, Siri, something where you can yell at your phone and it records you. Because I'll be driving, like, because it's LA, and like I'm internally stuck on freeways, and I'm driving. This is me driving. I'm driving, and all of a sudden, like, I get the idea, and I'm like, I, and there's just nothing I can reach or grab at gridlock traffic, like a pen or my phone or something. And I
yeah.
just, oh, do you use anything like that, or do you have a feature in your phone that can do any of that stuff?
I mean, I have I if I'm driving, I haven't really ever. I record like riffs and ideas with a recording software on my phone, or I'll again text myself. I think sometimes if you want to text yourself, you could always just put your own phone number in here under me,
Oh,
just like,
that's
"Hey
true.
Siri, text me," and then she'll be like, "What do you want to text me?" And then you'll just say whatever it is, and then you'll receive it. I don't know.
Oh, I guess, yeah, I have to ask too. The flip side of that is, do you have regrets that there's something where it's like you didn't roll over in the middle of the night and grab your phone or grab a pen or something and jot it down?
Sure.
Oh,
I woke up one, this never happens to me, and I envy people, but it happens to. But I woke up one day and I had like a melody, like I was dreaming about a melody. And I woke up with it in my head and I was like, oh, is this, I mean, and you're still half awake. So you're like, is this garbage? Am I singing somebody else's melody? What if I was just dreaming, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and I'm thinking that melody, like half awake, that it's mine. But I remember so clearly thinking that it was worth something. And then, as soon as had a cup of coffee in me, and it was gone. So
oh my God. And you know that famous story about Paul McCartney with Yesterday, right? Where
yeah,
he woke up and he thought, oh, that's a jingle. That's something I heard in an ad. I don't know. And then he would like hum it to people, and they're like, I don't recognize that. And like, no, 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 I can't use that. I must have stolen it. Yeah, I can't do that. And then he started singing like scrambled eggs
yeah,
just to
yeah.
remember it. Oh, God.
There's,
Or the, what's the other famous one with Keith Richards or something, where he was fell asleep, passed out, whatever. Had the the tape recorder recording, and like he was gonna erase the tape because he listened to 20 minutes of it. I don't know if one of his friends or somebody said, listen to it. And the very last like 45 seconds of the tape was him playing the riff for Satisfaction.
oh wow,
And
that's
he was
awesome.
like,
Yeah.
it's just these things that we do. Um, so looking back, I know, and I'm not gonna ask age here, but I know you're still relatively young, but you've been doing this a long time. Have you ever thought about, from when you first wrote your initial songs when you were younger until now, just like the breadth of the work, like how many songs that could be?
Oh yeah. I've tried to count. I think I'm probably like 80.
I think it's more than that. In fact, I asked our crack team of neighborhood 4-year-olds
Okay.
what the official number is, and would you like to know? This
Okay.
seems to
Sure.
be the general consensus, and I had to write it down. I didn't want to forget the number, like you were saying.
Okay.
So I asked them, I said, there's a girl named Emily, and she's a songwriter, and she's written a lot of songs, and how many do you think that she's written, and this is the general consensus of 11 billion songs.
I think that I've probably written north of 100, but I think I've probably, in all of my solo band and collaborative efforts, I've probably recorded somewhere around 80.
Wow.
70, I don't know.
Now, in your mind, does that seem like looking back, like, oh my God, I can't believe I've recorded this many, or oh my God, I've written so many that I haven't recorded yet?
I mean, I constantly have like 5 half-written songs that I've just been fucking around with for, a year that eventually will be finished. It's just they're all kind of in limbo and I haven't like crafted the code yet. But yeah, I mean, looking back, yeah, it's hard to think. I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm not very prolific at all, and there's a frustration there. But also just kind of looking back, yeah, I mean, 80 songs is, or
That's a
however many
lot.
I recorded. It's not bad.
That's a lot. In fact, I remember reading an interview with Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead, and just one of those days where I was feeling like pretty good. I had my coffee, and I'd gotten some writing done. I felt kind of accomplished. Then I read this interview, and I'm like, oh that guy, this jackass, like he doesn't sleep, right? So he was saying like, well, working on this soundtrack with Paul Thomas Anderson and working with this Indian orchestra, but I just really want to be in a room with a half dozen finished Radiohead songs, and it's like, okay, all right. I mean, I get it. It's one of those things
Yeah.
where that's where his heart lies and his focus lies. But on the other side of it, I'm sure you feel the same way. You're just like, how do you do it? How do you just, crank it out, year after year after
Yeah.
year and all that stuff?
Yeah.
So I guess take me back to when you were younger, and do you feel like there was a time or a specific song or something where you were like, this is an original song, like I can do this. Like, oh my God, this is something I wrote. It's not a cover. It's not somebody showing me, scales or something. Like I wrote this and like I'm proud of it and I could go to an open mic or a cafe and play this and people would probably be into it.
I think so. Um, I've been making up songs and singing since as far as I can remember. I mean, I would, make up songs and sing them when I was very, very young, prior to learning an instrument. And then it growing up, getting into middle school and slightly before, I've always enjoyed the written word. I've always enjoyed poetry and writing, and so that's the two kind of marry easily. When I was 14, maybe I picked up guitar. I'd been a drummer, but I wanted to be able to play an instrument. I didn't want to be Phil Collins. I wanted to play an instrument that was melodic that I could write songs to. And I had tried piano and it didn't really fit my vibe. So I picked up an acoustic guitar and taught myself how to play it by and large. And, was told and made it was very apparent to me very early on that you didn't need to know a whole lot of chords to throw them together and make songs. You could do a song with 2 chords. I mean, it's not going to be super interesting, but you can. And so I don't remember what the first song I wrote on guitar was where I thought to myself, oh, that's the one. But I know one of them was a song that I wrote. It's called Ocean's Arms, and I don't even remember how it goes anymore. I kind of vaguely remember the chorus. I don't know if there's even a recording of it. I think there was one on MySpace 12, 13 years ago that no longer exists. But I do remember finishing the song and writing it and thinking to myself, this is finally I have like, I don't know if it was the first or if it was one of the first few batches, but I remember finishing the song and feeling like it was something I could perform. And that was exciting to me because I finally was beginning to amass something that was representative of my own kind of ability. And that was like the objective all along was to learn an instrument and to write songs that I could perform. And so I think that was around the time I was 15. So it was maybe a year after starting to learn guitar.
Wow, nice. So let's skip ahead to the last 2 years and, you know, do you instinctively know if you're humming or grabbing a pen and writing out lyrics for something like, let's say, like a song like Why Weren't They Stunned or Eternal Babylon, where you're like, oh, I have to like do this right now. It has to come through me. I have to like screw all the other stuff I had planned today. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're almost like vibrating, you know what I mean? Like shaking, like you're like, I have to like, this is my day. Like, take me through that process. I don't know if you feel like a sieve or something where it's just coming through you.
No, it's a good question. it used to be, I feel like it used to be so easy, but I think that's also because I wasn't as good at it as it. Maybe I was just more satisfied with mediocrity. I don't know. But there were times in the past where I could bang out a song in a couple hours or an hour, and it felt like it wrote itself, and that was always nice. And it feels like the older I get, the more of like a tug of war it is. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes, where a song takes me a while to hammer out. There's a good example of that on this album. There's a song called Bloodlines, and I have like a notebook of just rewrites lyrically, like just tons. I probably rewrote lyrics to that song like 10, 12 times. It was very frustrating. Um, and I didn't have the organization of it was also a slow process. So that song probably took me, I mean, the first thing I wrote for that song was the riff right after the chorus. It's like da 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 da. So I wrote that, and I just kind of had that in my arsenal for months, and then I tried to start building something around it, and it was just this very long process. And so I feel like a lot of the songs I write now are very much in that vein. And also probably just you can chalk it up to laziness because I don't spend enough time sitting down trying to write. But there are songs on that album. There's one called Apartment Homes that came out pretty quickly, I guess. I think there another one was called Eden is the Worst, and that one didn't take too long. Some of them do. Here's an interest. You mentioned Echoed Park. That one is the longest song that I ever completed. That song took me 10 years to finish.
I mean,
So,
not consecutively, obviously taking breaks and sleeping and everything, but yeah, I mean, oh
right.
my gosh, I guess it's just one of those things that just wasn't ready, it wasn't
Well,
ready to wrap itself up.
yeah, maybe 11 years though, because my second album is called Dark Matter, my second solo album. And I had 9 songs ready for that album, and I wanted a 10th because I don't like odd numbers. And I also wanted I liked the name Dark Matter for an album, but I didn't feel like it connected to anything. So I was like, well, if I write a song called Dark Matter, then I'll have a reason to call the album Dark Matter.
Right.
And I wrote a song called Dark Matter, and it was terrible. And
Because it's forced, right? It's forced.
yeah, oh yeah, it was horrible. That's exactly why. But that intro that I pick for Eternal Babylon, and much of the song structure was derived from Dark Matter, and I think it was probably sometime during COVID where I remembered the picking pattern, and I was playing it for my husband, and he was like, we should put that in a song. And I like positive feedback in any sense, and so that definitely motivated me to start thinking about what I could do. And at that point, it's just kind of a matter of Frankensteining. You go through any other riffs you might have in your phone, or chord progressions, or you might go through any lyrical ideas and stuff. And I had written down Life Like a Vegas Night at one point, and so it was just like, will that work? The mood? Will this? Will that? So
That's a great line. I guess similarly, he said easily. I've gone through certain things like that with poetry, and I feel like the older I get, I'm like a little harder on myself, in sense like like I said, driving or walking or doing whatever, and an idea pops into my head, and I think, yeah, okay, that's kind of cool, but I've written something like that, so I won't. And then like a week later, I'll have like a little germ of the idea again, and I'll go like, what was the thing? What was the conceit? What was the premise? And I can't grab it, and I get pissed at myself, and I say like, yeah, okay, so maybe it would have been something similar to something I wrote before, and then maybe it would have taken a turn, So
sure.
I don't know. I think I just, as we get older, we put pressure on ourselves to like, I don't know, reinvent the wheel or something, or
Yeah,
just make it interesting to us and to
yeah,
people who already know us and know our work. Whether you just feel like, I don't want to do the same old shit. I don't want to do the same old crap, like, and just, regurgitate. Like I want like fresh ideas and this and that. But I also think too, the older we get, the more we're like, well, there's only so many chords.
yeah,
There's only so many words in the English
yeah.
language. So, I mean, have you been through stuff like that?
Oh my God, for sure. I I'll play a chord progression, and it's just like, okay, I'm playing D minor to A minor again, like repeatedly, or I love A minor to E, like A minor to E major is just like such a cool chord structure. I love it, and I've done it in several songs, and I'll find myself doing it in a song again, and just being like, you've done this a few times already. But at the end of the day, there are very, very very finite amount of chords and chord progressions to meander through. And so as long as you do something with it that doesn't sound identical, or you employ it in different ways, or I love throwing a seventh at the end of a phrase. I get that a lot. There's bands that do that I like that. Anyway, I don't, and I try not to do it a lot, but like a B7 is a nice end of a phrase chord, I think. And so I will do that pretty often. Or I love going from a minor to a major, or vice versa. If I'm going to do a D and then a D minor to make it kind of sad. Those are little things you can do that are add a little bit of color to a song, and sometimes I'm like, do I do these things too much? But it's also, but I enjoy, at the end of the day, I do this for me and for my own enjoyment.
Exactly.
So if I'm probably going to use those things again, as long as I'm trying to do it in a way that isn't like basically writing the same song.
Well, right. And the other thing too, I think, is that yeah, they're the same chords, the same chord progression, but you're gonna play it differently. You're strumming differently. It could be in a 3/4, 3/4 time or anything like that, and it's gonna be a different sound to it. And one of the most popular chord structures or sequences, I guess, is C, G, A minor, F.
Yeah.
But so many people have used it, and if you use it in a different way, I mean, it's Let It Be, it's No Woman, No Cry, and what else? So Lonely by the Police.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if you think of and the Police song, it's the same chords for the verse and the chorus. It's just sped up. So, I mean,
I love.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I like doing like G to A minor or G, D, A minor, C or something like that. And I've seen myself do that. I caught myself doing that on a few occasions, and recently wrote a song with it again. And I was just like, maybe I don't do this. And then I thought about it. And I was like, no, this is what the song wants. The song wants to be. If I change this, it's going to sound stupid. Like there's another song that we've been working on, and I wrote it in a swing tempo.
Okay.
And I thought it was cool, but I was worried that it sounded kind of cheesy. And so I was just like, well, maybe I just do it more straightforward. And so I started playing it more straightforward. I taught the guys the song. We were playing it straightforward. And after a couple of months, it was just like, I hate this song.
Because it was dead. It was like it had no heart, right? It felt dead to you, right?
Yeah. It didn't do anything for me.
Right.
It wasn't like, if I don't enjoy playing a song, why on earth would I record it?
Right.
Why would I keep changing along with something that I'm not satisfied with? And so, and then I thought about it, and I was like, I wrote this song, or I still haven't fucking finished this stupid song. It's been like 2 years, but I wrote and started writing the song with a swing mentality. Why would that's clearly what it was supposed to be. Why would I change that? Right. And it's kind of the same thing with using a same chord progression again. It's like, sometimes you can tinker and it works. So I'm not trying to say that don't just settle for what's easy. That's not what I think, but at the same rate, it's like, sometimes something falls into place and that's the way it should be. And if you start messing around with it too much, it's going to sound real dumb.
Oh yeah. Or there's people that will tell you like, well, don't play this way. It sounds like so-and-so. And you're like, well, okay, I guess let me hear the song. Okay. Yeah, it does sound like that. But then it's like, you get lame advice. Like maybe if you just play the chord progression backwards, and you're like, dude, it's not what I was going for. So I'm really curious. I'm always curious to hear from artists, like what's some really lame songwriting advice that you've gotten that, maybe you tried it once or twice and you're like, that person's an idiot.
Oh man. I wish I would get songwriting advice. I love that.
I've gotten writing advice over the years, and I'm not talking about teachers and people that mold minds that we're so thankful for. I'm talking about not even like friends, but like
something
friends of friends or somebody, or you're at a cookout or somebody's whatever, and they're like, well, what you should do. And right away when I hear those words, I'm like, and they're like, you ever thought about this? Like going to a park and just clearing your mind, and like the first thing that comes into your mind. I tried that once and I was like, oh man, look at these clouds.
Yeah, I mean, something will work for someone else and it totally doesn't work for another person. Like the whole just write until something comes out. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to be angrily writing and nothing probably will come out. I can't force anything. It's like if I have to sit down and think like, well, what do I want to write about?
Today's writing session will include the following top. No, it's like what we
That's
were talking about earlier. You have to
yeah,
get yourself out of your way. You have to just be open to it, have like the device or the writing pad or the freaking diner napkin, whatever it's going to be, or the person's arm standing next to
right.
you.
Yeah.
Um,
The best advice I ever got was you have to enjoy it.
yeah,
And it's very, 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 very important that you always, beyond, success or being prolific or whatever, if you're not enjoying it, it's gonna just ruin you. And so that's something I've had to be cognizant of, especially in recent years, where it's, if I'm not, if I'm sitting down going, well, I guess I have to write a song if I want to stay relevant, or I have to,
I'm in this hotel and there's nothing to do. Ugh. Yeah,
yeah, or like what do I want to say in my lyrics now? It's like if I have to sit down and really like force myself into it, nothing's going to happen.
exactly. You can't force anything.
It's like you have to wait till the wave comes and you get on that wave and you don't leave it. And that's
Exactly.
how, for me at least, anything ever gets accomplished with regard to songwriting.
Yeah, I would say it's similar for me for poetry. I feel like it's chasing down a feeling, like we're talking about something abstract just pops into your brain. And it's like, if you don't grab it in that moment, it is fleeting and it will disappear forever.
Yeah.
For like comedy or other things that I write, it's more about a release. It's more about this makes me feel good.
Mhm.
But like from songwriting as well, not every subject matter you write about is something that makes you feel good. It's just I got to get this out. It's on my brain, you know.
None of it is. I want to write happy songs. I just haven't in a long time, and I can't force myself again. But it's just like a lot of the songs I write lately are just super bummers, or they're not bummers as much as they are just about serious shit. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I was just I don't know where I was, and the one of the last I think songs released by George Harrison I think was called Any Road, and I remember thinking like that guy had it like really rough toward the end of his life where he was like attacked, somebody broke into his house and like tried to, stabbed him multiple times. And then he had like, I think it was lung cancer. And it was just like on and on and on. And then it's just, but he seemed, very centered, very spiritual guy. And he,
Yeah.
the song is like, he's talking about some serious subjects in the song, but like you were saying, breezy, mid-tempo, 3 or 4 chords, and it was one of those things where I don't know if I was in a shit mood or something, but I heard that song and I was like, man, I can't bitch because it's like if that guy's going through that, and at that time, maybe I can't say it's like automatic pilot, because he's written so many songs in his life or something, but it's just like it's the power of song. It made me feel better, it's just some random thing. So
Yeah.
I'm sure you've had that too. In fact, I wanted to thank you and commend you for all of the Bad Religion covers that you did during COVID because it was like, man, there's somebody out there just like doing something just for the pure joy of it.
I've been working on one actually. I haven't put anything on YouTube in like a year, just because for me it's been a weird year. But I've been working on a Bad Religion cover. I actually finished recording it today, and then the instruments. And when I got around to doing the vocals, I realized that it was entirely too low. So now I
Oh.
have to start all over. But
But you know what? I mean, the bones of the thing are there. It's like you can always listen to the
yeah,
original and be like, this is it. But Um, so I wanted to tell folks that are watching that at the end of the video, make sure you guys stick around because we are going to have the video for Eternal Babylon.
mhm.
And so I'm actually kind of trying to reach out to a few friends of mine that are DJs around the country and just be like,
Oh,
you need to listen to this woman. She's awesome. She's talented.
thanks.
Like I personally feel like the newest album is like the best representation of what's come before. Like it's a growth. I don't know. People say this crap
Thanks.
all the time, but Arrival record, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of thought that was put into it. I think um we were able to do more in the studio for it. We allotted ourselves more time.
Mhm.
We also, in the 3 years between the two of them, we just became tighter and better. And so
Oh,
we
it's
didn't
you guys sound so tight too. It's like whew, a lot of
like
rehearsal.
I think our first album is solid. I think I'm very proud of the songs on it, but I think that the second album, again, we were able to execute things more expediently in the studio because we became a better band, but also, and there was a little bit more thought put into the arrangements and things. But I also think that I like all the songs on the album, and I stand by all of them. There's a couple songs on Same Old World where I'm just kind of like, yeah, I won't play that ever again. But I feel
That's pretty refreshing to hear where you're like, yeah, no, we're not gonna take a request for that.
I mean, it's not that I dislike any of the songs. I just don't enjoy playing some of them sometimes anymore. So
Well,
it's just,
also, and I can relate to this, having written books and poems and yada yada yada, that as we get older, we go through more experiences through friends, families, jobs, whatever, and it meant the world to you at that moment you were writing it. And maybe months later, by the time you're, I don't know, getting ready to record it, it means a lot less. And then by the time you're ready to do shows and promote the album, it means even less. And then years
yeah,
go by, you're like, I don't know who that woman was, 11 years.
yeah, sure. I mean, it's also just a matter of relating to the song. If I don't relate to a song anymore,
Right.
or I don't feel like there's a certain like Zen mindset link that you feel when you're performing a song. And if that there's an absence of that, and if I'm not enjoying it, it doesn't like matter who wants to hear it. If I'm not enjoying it, then it's gonna poison me. And so,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
to go back to Johnny the Greenwood earlier, like I've seen Radiohead a few times in concerts, and people were just like visibly distraught. They're like, I'm not gonna play these songs and this song and this song. It's like, yeah, but I mean, look at what you're getting 2 hours of this awesome music, and you're just gonna whine about not hearing two or three, but everybody's everybody's got their song, right? Everybody's got their thing that means something to them that they want to hear the band play live, right? So,
yeah.
um,
I
well,
like I've seen the Pixies play live twice,
cool.
and they're amazing, and they
Is
play
it
a
without
ton of
Kim?
huh?
Is it weird without Kim?
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they have the
It's
chick
hidden without
from
Kim, so
they have the I think she was in A Perfect Circle. She's real good. I love Kim Deal, not to minimize her, but
right.
I mean, the iterations of I wasn't a Pixie. I wasn't alive in 1988. I don't,
Yeah.
I have no context for
Yeah.
them back then.
Right,
Um,
right, right.
but I have context for them now, and it's I'm not as married to her. I think, she has some good songs, but
Right, right, right.
um,
Well, it's mainly Frank, so
yeah.
um
But both times I saw them play, like once they got to Where Is My Mind, it's like he wasn't even like trying, because you could just tell there's such a disconnect between him and that song. It's kind of like Radiohead and Creep,
yeah.
where it's like they'll play the song because they know it, like everyone there is gonna be singing it,
Expecting it,
and
yeah.
they don't want to piss people off. But there's just such a like he when he sings it, he's not like there's a feel in my hair and the head on the cloud. He's just like like the whole time he's just kind
Oh,
of
yeah. It's like people, and I have never seen him, but I can't imagine going to see Dylan now and look at his back while he's playing a keyboard. But I hate to do it, but we are literally running out of time. But I want to thank you so much for being on the show, and
yeah.
quickly just let people know where they can find your music online, and I will put that in the credits there for you.
Yeah, definitely recommend Bandcamp. Bandcamp is
Okay, I hear that, yeah.
emilydavis.bandcamp.com. We're on all streaming platforms, but music is expensive to make, and so Bandcamp is the way to support artists independently. So I would recommend emilydavis.bandcamp.com, though we are on Spotify and all that crap. You can find me on Instagram at Emily Davis Music. I don't really give a shit about Twitter. Facebook is
Yeah.
Facebook at Emily Davis and the Murder Police. The end.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah,
I
sure.
know we've been trying to make this happen for a while, and all I gotta say is happy holidays and
Yeah.
enjoy the rest of your weekend with everybody.
Thanks, Eric.
No problem. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Vegas night. Like dice in a hole, evening tossed and dark. Shattered glass, cigarette ashy, eternal Babylon, eternal Babylon. Go on, bet on my behavior, knowing you'd be right, living life like a Vegas You can blow your mind with a gunner on the tongue. Amber waves the pain. Only fields of rain. You can play roulette. Life says no bullets left. Leave behind your chain. Find a little bit of danger. Otter in your spine. Let it be like just fine. There's nothing poetic. Ain't dying at the setting. Nothing more profane than living to abstain. 00 by day. So I spin it at night. Make the most of coasting through this. Check out line, life, life. A Vegas night. 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 This advertisement of my habits, hanging on a neon sign. I'm living life like a Vegas night.